So one time I did this assignment for college where it was called the Curiosity Journal, and what our professor wanted was for us Monday through Sunday of the week to find just anything random in the day and then write a story about it. So the assignment details were you have to find something random. Somebody walks down the street wearing a goofy jacket, or you see a bird with a worm in its mouth and you're like, what happened before that? How did it find the worm? Did it stalk the worm? Did it go to the worm's house and harass it and then murder it? So we have to find something like that and then make up a story about it, 5 stories, and then 5 questions. So I pulled up this assignment and I found all the stories that I did, and I wanted to share the stories with you all, and then by the end have an important moral message between us, like a Disney film with a happy ending. So here it goes. I'm going to read you all some of the stories, and then I want you to think about how we can use our creativity, this is the moral here, to come up with exciting things about the world around us. So let's start with Monday. So the sun was out and I was walking down the street. I had my white zip up hoodie up and my hands were grasping the straps of my backpack like my fists were balled into fists up by my face. Fists balled into fists. As I was walking down the sidewalk, I walked past a bearded guy who looked at me and said, "Yo, do you box?" "Yes, I do," I said. "I have an experience as an amateur boxer. This is true. I have one fight. Was a split decision loss. So, it could have been unanimous because I took a lot of punches that day. I did not feel good afterwards. My neck was all crooked. It was bad. It was terrible." "How did you know?" I asked him. "You just look like a boxer," he said. So then we both laughed and then I kept going on my way. So the questions I had asked here were, how did he know I was a boxer? What about my appearance made him think I was a boxer? Was it the way I was wearing my hoodie because I had my hood up? Was it my fist by my face? Was it because I had an athletic physique? Who knows? But it was really interesting to me that he knew, based on some type of experience, whether just watching or competing or even training, that I was a boxer. And this is where my stories come in. So I came up with this idea that, number one, letter A, he thought I was a boxer because he was a boxer himself and he fought amateur and pro fights. Pretty obvious, right? That is a pretty obvious assumption I can make on that. But then B, what if his significant other was a boxer? What if they came home to the apartment or house every single night and they told him, they're like, "Look, I want you to cook me my dinner." And he was like, "Okay." And he cooked some of the best dinner for this amazing boxer. And then he saw me and then I reminded him of his boxer spouse or significant other, whoever it was, however far along they are in the relationship. Okay, hopefully it's a good relationship and not like many in which boxers, a lot of boxers, the brain damage can lead to certain actions that aren't the best, okay? But that is neither here nor there. I've been a boxer, and thankfully I don't think I have any long-lasting brain damage. Who knows? But what I will say is that this is just an example, one example of how we can come up with assumptions and stories about our surroundings. And so I want you all to think about that. So story number 2, I'm going to skip Tuesday because there's not a lot there. If I go to Wednesday, which if I can scroll down, I'm looking at this on my phone. "I was riding public transit from such and such to such and such station, I won't say where, to do some thinking. I noticed on the car I was in, so I was in this train, public transit, train-like car, and on the seat opposite me, so I'm sitting here, and then to my right up ahead, I see the seat, and on the seat itself, not on the ground, but on the seat, there is a shoe mark that is purple. A purple, liquidy shoe mark. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what could have made that? What could have caused this purple shoe mark to be here? And so those were my questions. What caused this mark? Who made it? Why did they make it? And the story ideas I had for this are where it gets interesting. My idea is that whoever made it had just come from a grape stomping competition. And they were the best grape stomper in the world. ESPN covered, 5-star athlete, going to college, getting a degree in sports management, all the while competing in a Division 1 grape stomping tournament. And so my idea was the reason why that shoe mark was there in the first place, why they made it, was because they were doing some kind of victory pose where they was like, "Who's got the grapes? Who's got the grapes? Who's got the grapes? Me, I've got the grapes. Look, there's a grape over here. There's a grape on the ground." Anybody gets that reference? Here's a cookie, a grape flavored cookie. Um, and then everybody looked at that person on the train like they were completely insane. Like they were like, we need to get out of here. And then everybody evacuated. This man was left alone with just his disgusting grape footprint. And then he left on the stop to go get some water and hydrate. And I don't know, do whatever else he needed to do in the rest of the day. Come home to his wife and say, wife, I am the best grape stomper in the world. And then she's like, thanks, honey. And then she makes him this huge meal of like grapes. Just grapes. Grapes after grapes after grapes. In order to become good at stomping and murdering grapes, one must become good at eating the souls of the grapes. That is how you truly conquer the integrity of the grapes. But that was my idea there, and so I came up with all of that just from one minute detail that otherwise you could have just passed by. If you did not care about it, you could have passed by it. You could have gone to your phone and scrolled down and said, oh, whatever, it's just stupid people doing stupid stuff with maybe grapes. And then you could have just gone about your day. But no, I took the time to analyze my surroundings, see that footprint, and tell myself, that is grapes. That is grape juice right there. And whoever left it there, they are a professional grape stomper. That was my first thought, actually. So, I don't know. You can think whatever you want about this exercise, this experience. Maybe you disagree with it. All I'm trying to say is just challenge yourself to do it. So then after a while, I started writing in the assignment because keep in mind, I was doing this all right before midnight. And it was due at midnight, the assignment for college. So this is all for college, and I had like 10 minutes to get this in. Thankfully, I did. I don't remember what my grade was on it because in the later stories, I pretty much just did a bunch of random stuff because I was so tired. By Sunday, I laid in a forest and read a book on trees. How do trees grow? If the world was just trees and water, how long would it survive? If I was a tree, how would I feel? How would I see the world? How would I see other living things like animals? In a world of trees and water, nothing would evolve. Humans would not spread more humans and the world would grow. If I was a bear, I could scratch my back on the trees all the time. If a tree had a brain, what would its emotions be? At this point, Kwame was tired. But Kwame was also not giving a lot of consideration to how the story could have been. I just did not care at that point. I was so exhausted. So, the point here is, though, turn off this video. Turn off the internet. Maybe like and subscribe before you do. I don't know. It could help. Turn off everything. Technology, your electronics, and then go outside and pay attention to the world. Because you'll never know when the next story is around the corner. Okay, so I'm going to be doing improv on this. It is a jar of peanut butter that I had for breakfast. I am the king of peanut butter lands. If you do not like peanut butter, you will be sentenced to 500 years in peanut butter prison. Peanut butter prison is just prison, but you're actually put in a giant jar of peanut butter, of scorching hot, melty peanut butter. And then we'll put you in our sandwiches and cannibalize you. So you all watch out now. You better be eating your peanut butter. If we find out you're not, we will do forced cavity searches inside of you to see if you have peanut butter. I just spit everywhere. There is spit and saliva everywhere. There's cane sugar in this.